Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, it's something serious. Where my girls at? We ain't linked up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going out tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going out tonight. Yeah, right. It's going out tonight. We're going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going out tonight. Yeah, right.
Hey you guys, hello. It's the Force of Friendship and we are here, we are live, and we are so excited that you are here with us on today. When I tell you we are going to have an amazing show, and we are so glad that you tune in to We Got Issues each and every day, Monday through Friday. And so you guys, the topic on today, this is a good one. So make sure you call your friend, tell everybody to join us on today, because when I tell you, this is a conversation that all of us have had at some point. And the sad thing about it is we probably had a lesson or two about it when we were in junior high school and high school, probably talked about it in our history classes in college, and still nothing has happened. So on today, you guys, we are going to be talking about reparations. The time is now. So we want to know, what do you think about reparations? What do you think should happen? Do you think
hey, it's your girls. It is your girls. You got the Force of Friendship and your host today. Did you miss me? I'm your host today, Caterina Harris Earl. I am so excited to be on with you today with my girls, Crisette, Sabrina, and Gloria. Yes, on We Got Issues. 9:10 a.m., the Superstation-WFDF, coming to you out of Detroit, but coming to you all over the world. Tell us, talk to us. Are you watching us on Facebook, iHeartRadio, YouTube? You know, my father-in-law is here. He's watching it on the big TV. You know, you can watch YouTube on your Fire Stick. I mean, you can get us really in your car. We want to hear from you today because we got a hot topic today, y'all. We are talking about reparations. Now is the time, and we're going to meet the girlfriends in just a second, but go on and get in line and call in, because I bet you have a lot to say about this topic. 313-778-7600. Well, I am going to go. Today is, I have a co-host today, but I just have to go to our girl, Crisette in Detroit, who, if you're on Facebook, she got new hair today. We talked about hair, and she went and got new hair. So she's looking fly and fabulous. Everybody jealous because at least me. Let me just speak for myself. I'm trying to get the volume and everything. Lady Crisette, how are you doing?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to We Got Issues. I'm so excited to be here. Yep, I told you guys, I believe my show was on Tuesday, and we talked about natural hair or do you perm it? And I told you guys I was moving into the natural hair and I was going to take the plunge. And so today I went to a natural hairstylist. All she does is work with natural hair and no chemicals. Well, before I went to her, I did have to go to my boy Rodney to get a color, okay? Because, I'm going natural, but I'm not, some people become vegans, but they still slip and slide and they don't eat everything vegan. Well, I got color first, and then I went to the naturalist. And when I tell you, I am absolutely loving this natural hair. What? Oh, my goodness. Gloria, you should have told me. I should have thought, I look kind of like Gloria with the curls, the tight curls, but I absolutely love it. So I'm going to rock it for a while. You guys, anybody that knows me know I'm not scared to try anything. I'm not scared to try anything when it comes to my hair. And so I'm excited. But I am so excited to be here with my girlfriends. This topic is going to be absolutely amazing and a conversation that we all have had at some point in our lives. So I can't wait to hear your comments and what you think about it. And so I'm excited. I don't know. I'm going to throw it to North Carolina, to Sabrina Goodwin Monday. What's up, Bree?
Hey, girlfriends. Hey, Chris, I love that hair. I love that hair. You are rocking it. But Chris,
come on and join me. Come join me. Come join me, Sabrina.
That would be a no, and no. You know, y'all know y'all got girlfriends. They love to try to you and stuff. I done told them. But Chris, it looks great on you. I love it. Feeling good. Today was a self-care day. I did a lot of work this morning. Then I went and got a 90-minute massage. And when I tell you, he worked me over. It was so good, you guys. And he said, you know what, Sabrina, I haven't seen you this tight in a long time. So I'm so glad that I just said I'm stopping everything, because I knew I was feeling tight. And I knew for this topic, I needed to be relaxed, because this is a topic that is near and dear, another topic that's very personal. So I'm glad we're having the conversation. Thanks, Caterina, for bringing it to us. Now we're going to go to Gloria Mayfield Banks, all the way in South America, one of my most favorite places in the whole wide world. Gloria, how was your travel today?
When I tell you, I am reminded every time I look to the left or to the right why this is one of your favorite places on the planet. It is so beautiful, you guys. Here I am in Cartagena, Colombia, South America, and it is beautiful. And you guys, it was a pouring storm a couple of hours ago, and then the sun comes out. It's bright, it's beautiful, it feels absolutely fabulous. We have a condominium down here that's absolutely beautiful. I haven't seen my husband in 6 weeks. He's been down here. We get in the cab, y'all, seriously, he's talking Spanish. I'm like this. Like, what? It's so crazy, you guys. Let me tell you, the girlfriends that are on this. For those of you who are checking in with the Force of Friendship, and we got issues every single day, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You never know what we're going to talk about. I love the fact that you are loving being with us, because it's always something different. Always, who would have thought? I'm in Cartagena. Travel was amazing. I was protected. I was taking no chances. They're serious down here in Colombia. They got the mask on. It is no joke. Caterina, we are excited about this topic. You guys, I don't know how we come up with such deep stuff all the time, light stuff all the time, fun stuff all the time. Why? I know why. I don't even know why I said that. Because we got issues. We got issues. You got issues. Everybody got issues. Laughter, love, lessons. We got stuff to talk about today. And then tomorrow we're going to be talking about something else on Friday. So join us on Friday. Don't even try it. Caterina, I'm throwing it back over to you out there on the West Coast. You guys, look at this Wi-Fi. Ain't this fabulous? You can do this work anywhere you are. It's fabulous.
Yes, Gloria. We're glad you made it safely. And I'm getting in line with Sabrina for my 90-minute massage. I'm getting in line. I wish I had it. This is a hot topic. It's hot, and we've been talking about it, frankly, for too long. Reparations, now is the time. Let's talk about it. I know that Michael is going to just keep texting me and let me know that the lines are blowing up at 313-778-7600. We want to hear your opinion about this topic. Today, we are exploring the path to reparative justice in America. Yesterday, this hit. The House panel voted to advance the bill on slavery reparations. The measure is intended to begin a national conversation about how to confront the brutal mistreatment of African Americans in the United States of America. A House panel advances a decade-long effort to pay reparations to the descendants of slaves by approving legislation on Wednesday that would create a commission to study the issue. It's the first time the House Judiciary Committee has acted on this legislation. Still, prospects for final passage remain poor in such a closely divided Congress. The vote to advance the measure to the full House passed by 25-17 after a lengthy and passionate debate. Y'all, this had been brought up by John Conyers since 1989, every single year for 32 years. The legislation would establish a commission to examine slavery and discrimination in the United States since 1619 all the way to the present. The commission would recommend ways to educate Americans in its findings and appropriate remedies. And so we're talking about this today. The momentum has taken place. We've all heard the 40 acres and a mule.
Right.
and heard that reference. The momentum supporters have been able to generate for this bill has really been heightened in light of the George Floyd death and while he was in police custody. And we're really watching that closely because a verdict will be coming probably next week. Still, the House bill has no Republicans. Now, we're not talking about this just from a political standpoint, although it is very political, but we're talking about what reparations looks like. I just want to give you a couple examples. Last month, y'all, the Chicago, a couple months ago, I think the Chicago suburb in Evanston, Illinois, became the first U.S. city to make reparations available to its Black residents for past discrimination and the lingering effects of slavery. The money will come from the sale of recreational marijuana and qualifying households, because this is an important conversation. Where does the money come from? And they would receive $25,000 in home repairs, down payments on property, interest on late penalties, and on property in the city. It's taking place all over Massachusetts, Rhode Island, North Carolina, Iowa City. Certainly, it's taking place within the Episcopal Church, George Washington University. I know we're going to talk about what's taking place in Oklahoma. I'm going to give you one more example. I'm going to open it up for the girlfriends here. Los Angeles plans to return prime beachfront property to descendants of a Black couple who built a seaside resort for African Americans but suffered racist harassment and were stripped of their property. This property today is worth over $72 million, and it was taken from them. And even though they tried to sue, nothing happened. They paid $14,000 for it. It's worth $72 million now, which still pales into comparison to what it would have been worth if they had put a hotel or something else on top of it. So don't get it twisted when you hear the big number. So I'm going to open it up to the girlfriends. I got a lot to share on this topic. It is controversial for some, and for others, it feels like a slam dunk. So, Gloria, my co-host, talk to us. Reparations.
Okay, so here's where I'm coming at. I'm coming at, number one, we have to all be re-educated. You know, we think we know what's going on, but we really, really don't know what's going on. These numbers that you're giving, Caterina, are mind-blowing to me. And I've been watching, I've been following. But, you know, when you get here and you start to hear this in the community with people who are concerned about it like you are, when I hear about John Conyers, who's out of the state of Michigan, who's been banging on this for so many years, I remember this conversation when I was in junior high school, when I was in high school. I remember the conversation from my parents saying, you're never going to hear about this in school. You're never going to read about this. I remember being at the Episcopal Church at Virginia Park, where they talked about this whole situation and then you hear about, I so remember about the couple in California, but I did not know about the $72 million. I remember them losing. And there's another story very similar like that in New Jersey, where they lost so much and took it from them to be on the boardwalk. Now, here's the other thing. The other thing is that, okay, there's reparation for slavery, and then there's things that were taken from people in what's called the modern era. So there's a long, deep history. And then, you guys, as we're educating ourselves, this stuff is happening today. It is happening now. They go to downtown Baltimore and move people out of the way so they can put up a biotech, and they put all around the things that they can do for a good thing, but also for the people who lose. So this is a big topic. It's a long topic. And so for me, it is about education. And it is about us doing something, staying in space. Because here's the other piece I want to say. Because they never stopped, something's happening. Because they never stopped. Something is it everything that should happen? No, but something is happening. That's what I want to add to the conversation. I'm excited for people who have the guts to call in on this one. For real. This is good.
Absolutely. I want to bring Sabrina in because your family has personally we all have personally been affected by this, but most up close and personal. I know your story. I want to just read this definition. Reparation as defined by international human rights standards includes the following: restitution, compensation, rehabilitation, satisfaction, and guarantees of non-repetition. Reparations should be based not just on past harms, but on contemporary ones as well. Today, the effects of slavery can be seen throughout our society in law, culture, institutions. We can go on and on and on about this. Sabrina, would you talk personally? I had a beautiful conversation with your sister, who is just so brilliant. We can't wait to have Regina Goodwin on the show. Congresswoman, is that Representative Regina Goodwin. And would you talk about your family and reparations as it relates to Tulsa and the race riots?
Yeah, so much to talk about. We are descendants of race massacre survivors. Our great-grandparents, on the night of the riot, they were getting ready for the high school prom for my grandfather and my aunt. And so this is the night of the prom, is when May 31st, when the riot broke out. And so it's really more than a riot, it's a massacre. And we have the paperwork where my great-grandmother filed the paperwork, you guys. I mean, Carly Marie Goodwin, James Henry Goodwin. We see the lawsuit that was filed for the city, and said she listed everything we lost, 20 to 30 homes, because we had rental property, businesses. My grandfather was the youngest entrepreneur on Black Wall Street. In a matter of 24 hours, 35 city blocks burnt to the ground, everything. The itemized items that my great-grandmother listed, and it's interesting that my great-grandmother filed the lawsuit as opposed to my great-grandfather, just to go to show that women, we've been taking care of business a long time. And I always wondered why my great-grandmother filed the paperwork instead of my great-grandfather. I'm always curious to know that. But the bottom line is, in her itemization of things that we lost, that was $700,000 worth of property, goods, businesses in 1921. In today's day, that would be a minimum of 1.2 million. Businesses that could have been passed on to other family members. So much property, you guys. And so it is personal. Restitution, all those things that you named, we deserve to have it. More than deserve, it's our birthright. Why don't we have it? Why are we still talking about this 100 years? So many people have been directly affected, not just my family, so many, all of us in some way. And they say, well, how do we track? How do we trace family members? Well, you know what? You contact trace for COVID. You can contact trace descendants of people who are owed, who are due, whether you pay it back in land, businesses, infrastructure, property. Needs to happen, should have happened a long time ago. My question is, how much longer do we have to wait? How much longer do we have to wait? So we know that there have been some strides. I think families have been, in Rosewood, Illinois, I believe, families have started to be paid. But we've got a long way to go. All I can say is we got to stay loud. We cannot give up. We cannot give in. We have to keep talking about it. But it is deeply personal. I mean, direct hit from my family members, for sure. For sure. You guys, if you don't know about the Tulsa Race Massacre, please educate yourself, look it up. It wasn't taught in the classroom. They don't want to talk about it. And so we have to educate ourselves. Something similar happened to my family, goes back generations. So many families in so many states have been affected by this same thing. So it's really a travesty. And we're still talking about it 100 years later.
Wow. You know what, Sabrina, you said a couple of things that you said that I think we definitely need to bring out, thinking about Black Wall Street and how, that entire community was burnt to the ground because someone said that a Black man raped somebody in the elevator, however that story goes. And we know it wasn't true, but then they came and they burned down this community of innocent people. And we know that that wasn't even a true story. But now let's come to 2021. We're called thugs. We're called thieves when things go on in our society, and when Black and brown people are killed, and let's say that stores are broken into, or there are fires and there's looting, and so all of a sudden we are vilified for doing all that. And I'm not saying that that's right, but I'm saying, what about when you all did it? What about when you burnt down Black Wall Street? I don't hear anybody referring to those individuals as thugs, as thieves, as looters, right? So you know what? We have to be so careful of how in the media we are vilified when we do something, but when they do something, it's righteous indignation. So I thought about that. I said, wow, isn't that amazing how there's absolutely a double standard? And then this reparations is a big deal, and it's just interesting, the percentage of individuals who think that it should happen. And this is according to the Wall Street Journal. According to the Washington Post, it said that a poll in 2020 said that they found that 63% of Americans don't think that the U.S. should pay reparations to the descendants of slaves. And then, of course, we know there is the racial divide, that 82% of Black Americans support the reparations, and 75% of white Americans don't. So we know that there is a huge racial divide. And, it's just so interesting that, the conversation, when you ask white Americans, do you think that we should get reparations? The first thing I want to say is, there are no slaves now. And all of the white people that did have slaves and own slaves.
Chris, we're about to go to a break.
Okay.
We're about to go to a break. That's a hot topic. Talking about, is this related to enslaved persons and they're not enslaved now? We have a lot to talk about here on We Got Issues. We're about to go to a 2-minute commercial break. Call us in 313-778-7600. All righty, it's good. We got it. I got a lot to talk about. And we're excited. Chris is talking to our Facebook audience.
Okay, you guys, are you really loving this conversation? When I tell you this is a hot one, I mean, when you think about reparations, and one of the things that I was saying before we had to go to break is there are, many people that think that Black people don't deserve reparations because, we are not slaves. And that, white people, the white people that did enslave people, they are no longer with us. So why should white America be held responsible for what their ancestors did, when they enslaved Black people? But, it's a bigger conversation. Then it's not as simple as to say, well, we didn't do it, so we shouldn't have to pay for it. That's not the way it works, because we know that where we are right now in society has everything to do with, what took place with slavery. And so I just think that it's not, sometimes, other cultures will try to make you believe that you shouldn't ask for something that you deserve. And I totally believe that we deserve, our our mule and 40 pieces of land, right? Absolutely. So we want you to comment. We want you to comment and continue to comment on your thoughts, and make sure that you are sharing. We absolutely appreciate you sharing with your friends and letting them know that we are on every single day, Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. But yeah, this issue right
Oh,
here, I mean,
yes,
when you
we
think
are
about how
back.
great
We are
America
back.
is,
We are
when you
back.
think
We are
about
back.
slaves
We
having
are
built.
back. We are back. We are back. We are back here on We Got Issues talking about reparations. Now is the time. Now is the time. And I'm telling you, hearing Sabrina talk about being descendants of the race riots that took place in Oklahoma and all that your family lost, I think that's major undervalued, be way over millions of dollars, I'm sure.
Right.
But this is so true. Right now, there is a case that is they're working on having descendants to be paid, and it's been going on for years and years as well. A lot of these cases, they talk about the statute of limitations is up. And this is just so crazy because we all know if Black folks attempted to try to, we know in the case of Oklahoma, all of the insurance companies threw out all of the cases, even though the homes and the property was owned. So talking about a 2-year statute. Now, there's no statute on murder. What about the people that were killed? But then they try to say, but the people are dead. So one of the things that they're using, a tactic that worked for the opiate lawsuit that happened against Big Pharma, was they called the opiate problem in America, they called it a public nuisance. And there's no statute of limitations on a public nuisance. So very interesting. When I talked with Representative Regina Goodwin yesterday, she was talking about, we don't know if this is going to work, but wouldn't we agree racism is a public nuisance? It has publicly affected every community that it's taken place in America. And so this statute of limitations is so true. Chris, you were talking before the break about the argument that was then and this is now. Why should I pay for something that was that I was not a part of, even though I am benefiting from it? Can you talk about, just finish that up, and then I'm going to go back to Gloria.
Yes. Okay. And so, so that is one of the arguments that a lot of times individuals who don't think that reparations is doable, they don't think that we deserve it. Last year, Senator Mitch McConnell, he said he opposed the idea because he said none of us are currently living are responsible for what he called America's original sin. And so in their head, really it is, get over it. Get over it. How are we going to identify, all of the descendants of slaves? Some people, are not descendants of slaves. And so, the waters get muddied. And what they don't understand is that America is great. America was built on the back of slaves. And we are still, those of us that are descendants, and even Black people, whether you are or not, we are still paying the price of the oppression and the prejudice and the racism that, is still going on in America today. So you know what? All I have to say, America is great, and we can figure out how to get this done. Gloria?
Yes, you know what? I'm loving what you're talking about, Chris, when you say how we have to get it done and how we have to stay vigilant in that. Bernetta on Facebook wrote something, and I want to capitalize on what I saw today. She said the lingering psychological damage and stress-induced exuberated illnesses, is that the right word? Exuberated illnesses that resulting from slavery are a large part of why life expectancy in the Black communities is low. This educational, economic, religious, and political genocide. Today, I was at the airport. There was a guy who was in front of me going through security, and he was saying that it was his first time on a plane. He's in his 25-year mark, whatever. Pants way down, like so far down, like I was like, why are your pants like seriously way down? My point is that we can sit and judge what we see without understanding all this back history, which has put him at this place. His first time traveling, his first time ever going through security. We don't even understand the opportunities that have been locked out from us for generations. And this is why they're fighting. So we have to keep this conversation very powerful, because we are afraid to talk about the depths of what this has done to us, the depths of the generational, the depths of the education, the depths of the health, the depths of how this has hurt us over and over again. And we know that the one thing that will always make a difference is the economic argument. They will always come for the economic argument. So when Mitch McConnell says something like that says they're not paying for that any longer, he's absolutely wrong. We are paying for it, and he knows it because he sees it. And here's the thing, when you see it, you don't want to touch it because it is so deep. It is so vast. They're afraid to put a financial amount on it. But when I watch what's going on over there in Illinois, where at least a city is finding a way, you guys listen to that, legalizing marijuana and taking a portion of that to fund what's right. You know, when you fight for something, let me just say this, you fight to get it done. You fight to get it done, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to start the movement. And so that's what I'm excited about, is that there is some movement. It's not the best movement, but once you see a crack, you can get to the light if we stay in the fight together. Back to you, Caterina.
How much has been lost? It's so difficult to estimate, but here's just a couple of figures. One estimation came from the University of Illinois in 1983 that America owed $1.4 trillion in reparations for Black descendants of enslaved people. He based this figure on the amount of wages earned by non-enslaved workers from 1620 to 1840, and he subtracted the costs related to the care of slaves. The problem with, if they took this figure alone and adjusted it to today's inflation, it would be $11.4 trillion. But that is still so much underestimating, because number one, he subtracted the cost of living, okay, the housing, care, and all of that. And he omitted the first 30 years of slavery. And most importantly, he omitted the profits from the slave trade. Here are just 15 companies. We could go on and on about corporations that literally would not be who they are today if it wasn't for the slave trade. The Lehman Brothers, whose business empire started in the slave trade. Aetna, JP Morgan Chase, New York Life, Wachovia Corporation, M. Rothschild and Sons Bank in London, Norfolk Southern, USA Today, the Fleet Boston, CSX, literally, that moves the railroads going across. Imagine how important the railroad system is. Canadian National Railway. Yeah, okay. Georgetown University, Brooks Brothers, Barclays. We could go on and on and on. How about that is a part of how this can be paid for. So where do we start? Let's just talk about that. Where do we feel we start with not just having this be a conversation, but literally moving it forward? Some people say you had a Black president, now you got a Black vice president. Doesn't that mean you're making progress? So girlfriends.
You know, let me personally just say, I was just going to say real quickly, sometimes the place to start is the easiest place to start. I think we have in the history books what took place in Tulsa. That is, to me, an easy place to start. When you talk about these individuals who lost their businesses, I mean, a mob came and thugs, came and burnt that down. Okay, so where do you start? Let's start just like when they talk about, your debt and how do you get rid of debt. Sometimes they say, you start with the smallest one first, and then you get to the biggest one. So I said, identifying those families in Tulsa, and at least that is a start. And I totally believe that that will make Black America feel like, okay, at least they're starting somewhere. Sometimes they think that unless they can do all of it, then nobody is going to be happy. But if we see you making, any kind of steps to repay and to give reparations for those that were hurt and those whose livelihood was destroyed, I believe that would show goodwill. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for some goodwill. So I say we start in Tulsa. Come on, Sabrina, let's start in Tulsa.
Yes. Please. Please. Yes, Crisette.
Yes.
Absolutely. Tulsa would be a great place to start. But I have to thank so many who've been at this fight for a long time. I mean, we're talking about it. There are people who have been at the State House, at the Capitol. State representatives who've been fighting this fight for a long time, specifically in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We've lost generational wealth, property, businesses, lives. My goodness, you guys, my stomach just turns. Honestly, I was so settled. You thought when you said you wanted to talk about this, Caterina, I had to get myself together because it cut so deep to my soul, because I literally grew up on Greenwood, the street where our Black Wall Street was born. There were thriving businesses. There were movie theaters. There were banks. There were, my grandfather had a haberdashery, a men's clothing store way back then. I mean, and for all that to just be gone, wiped out, and they say we don't know where to start. Why is this so difficult to figure out? You know where to start. You don't want to start. And so we say, where do we start? We start by being purposeful. We start by being proud. We start by not being afraid to speak up, by going to your state representatives, your elected officials, and saying, this issue is important. I'm no longer going to be silent because so many people say, that was so long ago. There's no equitable way. They're all gone now. That is not acceptable. It's not acceptable, and we got to start today. So I'm asking all of our viewers, the people who watch us, the people who listen to us, let's pull together and say, what can I do today to make this better? For it might not happen in my lifetime, but I want my children's children's children to know that I did not just sit by idly.
Yes. We're going to go to Mary. Mary, we want to hear from you on, we got issues about this issue of reparations. Talk to us, Mary.
No, good afternoon to all of you. Okay, so I hear saying that there are dogs. So in each death comes a new generation. And so for any offspring of those who held slaves, they somehow gain the wealth, the family wealth. Let me just use the Polish, for example. They've gained wealth. Their grandchildren, their great, no one has to ever really suffer because they have a family wealth. And they built that, not all, but some of it has built from the slavery. What God says, make humankind and make them a dominion over the fish, the sea, over animals. Granted, we have in American history, they quote that we evolved to monkeys. There's nowhere in the good book God said that human beings came from monkeys. He made animals, and then he made the human animals. So, for America to take, and that's not just America, I know other nations played a part in it, but we had the greatest suffering in America. For America to treat us like cargo, like commodities, that's what God did for things. So they said that we were not even human beings. What made him more powerful than the Creator? And as Americans say, and they say on our dollars, and God we trust. So I trust that God made humankind. And He made all of us separation, no matter who say they do not. God's book said that humans do not have dominion over another human being.
That is so true, Mary. That is so true. We so appreciate your example. And America has, they've dealt with this before with Japanese, they've dealt with this with Native Americans, although, issues around that as well. They have dealt with this as it relates to survivors of the Holocaust. And we must deal with this with reparations. We just really, really appreciate your input, your feedback, and count on you, Mary, to reach out to the representatives and to let it be known that you're going to be a part of the movement and take action. Reparation time is now. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mary. Thanks for calling in. I'm going to go to Grace and then bring in another girlfriend. Grace. You are on We Got Issues. We want to hear from you.
Well, thank you. I'm definitely loving this topic. This has been a passion for me for a while. And I would have to say, when you're thinking about how people get involved, to that information tonight, because that's something I definitely want to be involved in. Before this pandemic, I literally have started a movement of getting individuals involved, and the pandemic kind of blew everything up because we could not meet together. So, until the pandemic is over, I'm back on track. My thing is, we need to come up with proposals to let them know what we are proposing and not asking anymore. We need to be at the table and we need to create our own table and invite them to the table because we need to do it. And like I said before, a year ago, this is a perfect storm. We need to do it now. The window is open. We need to do it now. And it's going to be a difficult task. I do understand that, but I'm in it for the long haul. But I need other mindful people like me. And so I want to be involved in this movement. And I actually feel I need to be involved. It definitely had a lot to bring because it needs to be very, very detailed about what we need. And we're no longer asking. We're really no longer asking. We didn't create a table. We need to invite them to the table, and we need to get it done. It can be done. But one thing you're talking about too, the amount. I came up with a figure, 109 trillion. And we also need to eliminate some of these individuals because these biracial individuals are considered black, okay, by those standards. That has to be addressed also too. That literally has to be addressed. And it can be done. If I can show you the details of my plan, you would be at all. It can be done. It literally can be done. I've done something, and I'm going to blow my own horn.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're not the ones that did it. Excuse me, systemic racism. There is a law created to suppress us and oppress us. And they're still about it. They're literally still about it. We weren't supposed to get this far. If we came this far, and we're going to continue. We need to be involved, and we need to be at equal ground. There's nothing fair and just about what African Americans are literally going through or went through as far as America. There's nothing fair and just. We weren't supposed to get this far. We're here now.
Are you working on your own, or are you involved with a particular organization?
I'm actually working on my own. I'm literally working on my own, and I do have others that are supporting, but it is not formed in the organization at all because it's not formed in that particular way. But I literally have put something together, and I was really going to have a forum to actually introduce it. I just had to get out on my own. I looked at it. And the pandemic happened, and it puts it on hold. And I really need to be involved in whatever movement that you guys are trying to do, or the contact with the people that are trying to do it.
Yes, we're going to continue to listen in because this is definitely going to be a topic. We're going to bring in some experts and some that
are working directly in this area as it relates to the racial wealth gap, land ownership, home ownership, access to healthcare, access to education, the criminal justice system, abusive and discriminatory policing. America must pay its debt. Grace, we so appreciate you for calling in. I'm going to go to my girlfriend, Gloria. We're glad you came back in, and the Wi-Fi is great in Colombia. Gloria, on We Got Issues. I mean, seriously, what else can you add to the topic as we talk about reparations and where we go from here?
You know, when you start talking about reparations in the United States, I was thinking about somebody who said something here in the chat about Jenny talked about Haiti American. You know, we always over and over again are the role model for the world. So it's not just what we're fighting for here in the United States. We're fighting for people who have done it in so many other areas. It's going to be a role model that once it crosses over, people are going to use it over and over and over again for so many areas. So I thought that was excuse me, I thought that was a very big deal. That what we're looking at. And then the second thing you said, Caterina, you said, where do we start? And Chris said, show some goodwill. And then we've heard so many times on this show how many politicians have said, go to your politicians and keep the pressure on. Let them know that this is important. You guys, sometimes you think, I don't know what to do. You know what? A phone call makes all the difference in the world. A letter makes all the difference in the world. They think about it when they hear you. Their assistants hear you. And so there's something that we all have to garnish, which is the power of our voice. We talked about it yesterday when TD Jakes said, don't drop the mic. Your mic is going to be used in so many ways. And so I want to say to all of us that we are the ones that are going to call, you know, we always know that things get shifted at the ground level. They get shifted at the ground level and it comes up. And so our ability to talk about it, our ability to reach our politicians, our ability to not think that it's impossible, that our ability to know that this is what is due, our ability to recognize what a huge difference it has made for a huge population in the U.S. And when you do something like this to a huge population in the U.S., like with the Indians, like with the African Americans, it takes the whole country down. It's not just us. It takes everybody down. However, no one is going to work for us if we don't work for us. And that's why we have to be very loud. And that's why we have to lean into these politicians. And the other thing is the politicians that are willing to say something about it, we must give them energy. I can't even think about what Regina does on a regular basis, but the one phone call, the one letter, the one text message that she says, it says, keep going, keep going. Do you know how long that keeps her running? It keeps her running for a long time. And so you guys have people in your community that don't hear from us because we think that one mouth doesn't matter, but every mouth matters. Go ahead, Sabrina, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to say something?
No, that's just so true, Gloria, that I think sometimes we feel hopeless and we don't think one person matters. We got to know that your voice matters. You got to know that just galvanizing your neighborhood, people in the community, family, friends. And we tend to go to our elected officials when it's only a gripe. You know, they are on the front line for us, fighting that state capitol, and we've got to be with them to unity. I like Renetta said unity. We've got to come together and fight the good fight. This is not their issue. This is our issue. The name of this show is We Got Issues. It's a we thing. It's not, she's got an issue, they got an issue. No, it's all of our problem. If it affects one of us, it affects all of us. And so I just think taking ownership of the issue and knowing that one somebody can make a big difference. So collectively, we're not going to let this ball drop. We're going to be on it, doggone it. We're not giving up. We're not giving in. We're going, this is our birthright. When my great grandparents, their homes, their businesses burnt to the ground because of the color of their skin, I would be remiss if I sat back and said, I'm cool. I got a house. I got a business. No, you guys, we cannot rest on our laurels. We are owed and we need to fight to go get back what it is that we are so deserving of. We are so deserving.
Sabrina, to add to that, and something that Grace said about, that this is hard and this is difficult. And sometimes we think if something is hard, if it's difficult, or people have been in a fight for so long and nothing has changed, we have to think about our ancestors. Sometimes I often think, if we could resurrect some of the slaves and they could see the strides that Black people have made. I sometimes when I'm looking on television and I see the actors and actresses and the newscasters, if our ancestors could look and turn on television and see that we are reporters, and we have a vice president. I just often think, how would they internalize to say it was worth them continuing to fight, even though they were going to get whipped, even though they knew that they were in danger? I believe it was President John F. Kennedy who said, and I love the way he said it. He said, we don't do things because they're easy. We do things because they are hard. If we can figure out how to send a man to the moon, doggone it, we can figure out how to make these reparations work.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And Chris, I got to say, we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. I do believe that. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams. They would be so proud, but we know that we have so much more work to do. And so we can be nowhere near tired. Like that song goes, we are nowhere near tired. We've got to continue to fight the good fight. Yes, so much more work to do. Caterina, were you going to say something? Oh, go, Gloria.
Go ahead, Gloria.
Yeah, yesterday when the doctor was on, what was her name, Crisette? Your friend.
Dr. Celeste Williams.
Yes, who's head of the cardiac, in the largest cardiac unit in the state of Michigan. So I was thinking when Sabrina was talking, my mother's sister, my grandmother's oldest daughter, had an accident on the basketball court, and they took her to the hospital. And because the hospital would not see Black people, she died because she couldn't go into the hospital. Then she had to be funeralized at the house because they wouldn't let her in a funeral. Now, we're talking Gary, Indiana. We're not talking about the deep South. We're talking about the deep North. So they wouldn't let her in the hospital, therefore she died. She was 13 years old. They wouldn't let her into the funeral home because she was Black, because of the color of her skin. Now we got people going to the stop sign and getting killed. You guys, seriously, this is what this is all saying. This is all about making what was wrong right. It is not only that, it is saying out loud it was wrong. See, that's a big part of the issue here, is that people don't want to admit that it was wrong, and that if they admit that it's wrong, then they have to pay the price. And that's what we're screaming about. We're screaming about, you got to say it was wrong, and therefore you got to make it right. And the fact is that you'll never be able to afford it. We got that. You're never going to be able to pay this back, but you can go way farther than nothing. That is the deal. You can't just sit on nothing. And although we've made advances, we're nowhere near as to the advances that we could have made if you had not stolen everything we owned, everything we do, and everything that's in our mind. It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
I mean, it's a big deal. And I hesitate to even share the story because I'm not able to talk deeply and intelligently about it. My father talked about for years. His mother died when he was very young in Alabama, in Birmingham, Alabama. And so he got sent north to Ohio. And all he would talk about is going to his grandmother's house. And it was a mansion. It was more rooms than he could ever count. And all he could remember is one day after she died, it was gone. It was gone. And now part of the college campus system is on there. It just eminent domain. It was gone. I mean, I have no record. I would not even know where to start. And so it's happened, you guys, for Japanese through the Civil Liberties Act in 1988. The government admitted to a litany of wrongdoings in its internment of Japanese Americans during World War II. As part of the reparations package, the government paid $20,000 to every living survivor. It happened. Native Americans, the results were disappointing, though, for Native Americans. It seems like the darker you get, the more disappointing it is. The commission paid out about $1.3 billion, the equivalent of less than 1,000 for each Native American in the United States, and much of that went to corporations that run the reservations. And we talk about Rosewood, this Rosewood massacre in Rosewood, Florida, that Sabrina brought up. It's so important that we fight because it creates precedent that then we can build upon and build upon and build upon. And our passion about it and our smart attorneys and all of the politicians working collectively together is why we are even where we are today. Let's be clear. If it hadn't been for that fighting, there would not be a Barack Obama or a Kamala Harris. The Rosewood Massacre was a racially motivated massacre of Black people and the destruction of a Black town that took place during the first week of January 1923 in rural Levy County, Florida. 6 Black people and 2 white people were killed through eyewitnesses. And what ended up happening over 2 years, a group of elderly survivors working in tandem with some of the state's most powerful lobbyists persuaded a conservative state government to take responsibility and paid $2.1 million. It still was underpaid. A couple living survivors got $150,000, but it was a start. There were others that were further down the line of descendants that ended up only receiving $2,000. However, and then they turned out and began giving some scholarships. You guys, the wealth gap it's 10 times, minimum 10 times greater wealth in the white community than it is in the Black community. Just hearing the police officer who bailed herself out with $100,000, you know, the average Black police officer making that same income doesn't have that. They don't have,
Right.
They can't go get $100,000. Eliminating the difference in household wealth would require reparations of $10.7 million. $10.7 million. We have just a couple of minutes. And so we're going to bring you in, Charles. We're going to go to our last caller today. Charles, we want to hear from you on We Got Issues. If you can keep it into about a minute or 90, no more than 90 seconds. Charles.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I do the best I can with the time, and time is everything, including the time period of the spirit of our ancestors, regardless of the complexion, the race, creed, complexion. I mean, you know, the gender, the whole 9 yards. Divide. When we divide, we don't get anything that we need to when it comes to reparations. The best reparation that I understand is have respect for all race, creeds, colors, have respect for the purpose of our existence, regardless of how we look. It's all about how we speak and respect one another.
We so appreciate that. Yes, we so appreciate it.
On the head. It starts with respect, and you back that respect up with some cash. And let's be clear, the money alone does not begin to even deal with all the trauma, all the challenge. This is about a debt that is owed. This is about compensating for labor and damage. So it should come in the form of a check to descendants. And that is a start, y'all. Reparations is complicated. It's contentious. It's messy. But if you don't deal with the past, it will always be going on, and it will continue to recreate itself. We see so many examples of those that are on the other side of the aisle that are not ready to deal with this issue. But to quote Representative Sheila Jackson Lee from Texas, she says, "I ask my friends on the other side of the aisle, do not ignore the pain, the history, the reasonableness of this commission," she said as they were talking about this bill yesterday. You guys, now is the time. Reconciliation is the process. Reparations are only the first step. We thank you for listening to us on We Got Issues, theforceoffriendship.com. Join us tomorrow, Friday. Your girls, I promise you, we're going to bring you something great to talk about on We Got Issues. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for joining us. And we will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks, Michael.
Good job, Caterina.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Good topic. You know, it's not an easy topic. It's not easy to talk about, but it's necessary. So we will continue to bring you the topics that we say we are positive, powerful, and not Pollyanna. That's who we are. We are purposeful every day. Thank you, tribe, for being with us Monday through Friday, 6 to 7. We want to know what you want to talk about. We hope that this topic got your mind thinking about how you can be a contributor. We don't want to be part of the problem. We want to be what? Part of the solution. So we got work to do, girlfriends. We got work to do. Absolutely.
Yes, this is a topic we will revisit, and certainly we are going to have some experts that are working directly in this area. I just want to ask our tribe if anyone knows anyone that is working directly in Minneapolis, in the Minnesota area. If you know someone who is working and active in community organizing in that area, let us know. It's a possibility we may have them call in or maybe even be a guest on the show. You never know. So we appreciate y'all. Gloria, glad you made it. We are glad the Wi-Fi was good, Chris. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow. Sabrina and Caterina, we are coming to you. Thanks for following us. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.